Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Some very interesting news as the Rugby Championship fixtures were today confirmed ahead of the Springboks' return to the Rugby Championship, their first time since winning the tournament back in 2019. Obviously did not take part in 2020, but they are back this year, and all of a sudden it looks like the Springbok fixtures are really quite a stacked bunch. But before we look at the fixtures and stuff and what it all means, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner there, turn on your notifications as well, so that you get notifications when we go live. For example, for the Rainbow Cup, we've got 2 more games this weekend. We'll be live for both of them as before we head into the Rainbow Cup SA bye. Also, obviously, got previews and stuff of the weekend coming up as well. So if we're looking at the Rugby Championship now, what's very interesting is that the Springboks only get 2 home games, and they're both against Argentina. So I mean, it's quite difficult. It's by far the most difficult championship we're ever going to play. We don't get a home test against New Zealand. We don't get a home test against Australia. All those games will be played in Australia and New Zealand, because at the end of the day they can have fans. So it's a case of they can get that revenue off the fans and stuff like that. So it's very, very difficult. I mean, when you think that this year, so if you look at the fixtures, let's just start there. If you look at the fixtures, on the back of the Lions series, which finishes first week of August, 7th of August, a week later, we host Argentina on the 14th of August. Stadium hasn't been announced, neither has kickoff times, but we host Argentina a week after the Lions tour. A week later, we again are playing against Argentina, 2 games back-to-back in South Africa, and then we have a 2-week break. After that, on Saturday, the 11th of September, we are facing Australia in Australia, the 18th of September, once again versus Australia in Australia, and we are then playing New Zealand twice on the 25th of September and the 2nd of October. So it literally is going to go, 5 test weekends in a row. So 3 British and Irish Lions tests, then 2 against Argentina. And then we're going into 4 weeks for in New Zealand and Australia. And I think if you look at it, I think the Springboks are playing from the beginning of July, obviously with the 2 Georgia tests. I think the Springboks are playing 14 tests in 20 weeks. This is a side that has not played rugby since 2019. So there's no time to try and get sort of back into the swing of things nice and slowly. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be very, very tough for the Springbok side. In terms of conditioning, in terms of there's not much time for teams to gel together and stuff like that. The Springboks have to hit the ground running. But it's going to be quite. I mean, it is unfair at the end of the day. It is definitely. We definitely do have an unfair advantage. I mean, Argentina, most of all, they don't get any home games throughout the entire series, which is very, very harsh for Argentina. But that's just kind of the way the cookie has crumbled at the moment. So we at least get 2 home games against Argentina. So if you think you've been outdone by as a Springbok fan, think about the Argentinians. But 2 games in New Zealand, 2 games in Australia. I mean, back-to-back tests against New Zealand. That's a huge, huge ask. It's going to be. We've also got the 100th test against New Zealand in that series, so that should be something to look forward to. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a big ask. And I think that at least playing against British and Irish Lions would mean you're playing against some really good players, top quality side. So at least it's going to be very good preparation. We need to win the British and Irish Lions here. That's going to be the main thing. But it will be some very nice preparation because that Springbok side will be, playing at a very high standard for 3 games in a row. So they will be going into the Rugby Championship on the back of playing some very tough games. So they'll be very definitely up for it, definitely conditions and back and used to playing that sort of standard rugby. So if you look at what Rassie Erasmus has had to say, he says, following the unfortunate COVID-related disruptions of last year, we are very much looking forward to resume playing against the Pumas, Wallabies, and the All Blacks. There is a great rival between us, but we also have a lot of respect for each other and have built good friendships over many years of Southern Hemisphere competition. Playing the All Blacks in their backyard is a massive challenge. Argentina showed their growing stature last year, while the Wallabies are always tough opponents, especially on their home turf. And then head coach Jacques Nienaber said the 2 tests against Argentina take the number of Springbok home matches this year to 7, which makes it an exciting but challenging home program for us. He said, we are grateful to all involved at SANZAAR and SA Rugby for the hard work being done to make this all possible. Keep in mind all the current pandemic difficulties. So, it's going to be a really, really difficult tournament. I don't really see the Springboks winning it. Maybe it's pessimistic, but I think it's a massive ask to try and get 2 home victories against Argentina, but then to try and go and play 2 games against Australia away and 2 games against New Zealand, and you usually have to win at least one of those New Zealand games. and probably both as Australia games if you want to try and win the Rugby Championship. So I think it's going to be a massive, massive ask. Definitely, this is the toughest Rugby Championship we've ever had to play. We won't have fans; they'll have fans. It's going to be a huge ask. Obviously, there's going to be that the fatigue of having to go away for probably about 5 weeks. After having been in that Lions probably COVID bubble as well. So you're going to think about player welfare. It's going to be a really, really grueling and tough time for the Springboks. Who then come back in October and have a 3-week, 4-week break, and then they're off to the outgoing tour. We're playing Scotland, Wales, and England, towards the end of mid and end of November. So look, as a fan, it's fantastic. We're going to be having so much Test rugby over the next couple of months once it begins. But as the Springboks players, I think it's going to be a very big tour test, and I think that also as fringe players, I think you look at this and you think there are opportunities. I'm looking at opportunities to play there. 14 tests in 20 weeks. They will need to bring in extra players. They will need to rotate a little bit. Injuries will play a big part. So I think that's quite a nice added incentive. Some of these players are really trying to play their way into the frame for the British and Irish Lions series. But even after that, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for new players to start coming in as you prepare after the Lions series for the 2023 World Cup. That's the next thing, which is in 2 years' time all of a sudden. So it's going to be very interesting. Let me know what you think of the draw down in the comments. Let me know how you think South Africa is going to fare and what you think is going to happen in the Rugby Championship. As I said, please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you very soon.